Perhaps no other city in America holds as much history of the colonial and Revolutionary War era as Boston. It's not surprising to see that its main sites have become a pilgrimage trail for Americans and for others who hope to get a sense of that history. But more than that, the Freedom Trail is a good introduction to today's city, connecting or passing close to some of its best-loved tourist attractions. Boston is easy to navigate on foot and its major sites are relatively close, and America's first subway system, the T, connects its important neighborhoods. Here are the 10 best places to visit in Boston. 1. Walk the Freedom Trail. The 3-mile Freedom Trail leads you past and into 16 of the city's principal historic monuments and sites. It's easy to follow by the line of red bricks in the sidewalk and by footprints at street crossings. Begin by picking up brochures on the attractions at the Visitor Center in the Boston Common before heading to the State House. The trail will take you to Old Granary Burying Ground, where Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, and John Hancock are buried. King's Chapel Burying Ground, Boston's oldest cemetery with the graves of Governor John Winthrop and 2 Mayflower passengers. Old South Meeting House, where the ringing speeches of patriots spawned the Boston Tea Party, and the Old State House. This is Boston's oldest public building and the site of the Boston Massacre. 2. See a game or take a tour of Fenway Park. Known as America's most beloved ballpark, Fenway Park is one of the most fabled sports complexes in the country, and even if you're not a sports fan, a tour of it is both fun and interesting. The home of the Boston Red Sox looks much like the same as it did when it opened on April 20, 1912. One of its most recognizable features is the Green Monster, the 37-foot green wall in left field, and the park still maintains some of the remnants of old-time baseball, such as the hand-operated scoreboard. It also has the lowest seating capacity in the major leagues, holding only 33,871 spectators, a fact that makes tickets exceedingly scarce. 3. Faneuil Hall. Known as the Cradle of Liberty, Faneuil Hall was built in 1740-42 by Huguenot merchant Peter Faneuil as a market hall and presented to the city on condition that it should always be open to the public. The ground floor is still occupied by market stalls. On the upper floor is the council chamber, which in the 18th and 19th centuries was the meeting place of revolutionaries and later of abolitionists. On its 4th floor is the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Museum with weaponry, uniforms, and paintings of significant battle. The adjoining Faneuil Hall Marketplace includes 3 long halls, Quincy Market, North Market, and South Market, dating from the early 19th century, now occupied by a lively assortment of shops, restaurants, and exhibitions. 4. Boston Common and Public Gardens. Ride the swan boats. In the heart of the city is Boston Common, America's oldest park and the start of the Freedom Trail. In the large green space, which is much used by locals year-round, are various monuments in the central burying ground of 1756. You can rent skates to use on the Frog Pond from November through mid-March, enjoy the spring blossoms and fall foliage colors reflecting in its surface, and in summer, watch youngsters splash about in the wading pool. Adjoining it on the west side of Charles Street is the 24-acre Public Garden, America's oldest botanical garden, as well as Victorian-style monuments and statues, including an equestrian statue of George Washington and popular modern bronzes of a family of ducks immortalized in Robert McCloskey's children's book, Make Way for the Ducklings. One of Boston's most iconic experiences for all ages is riding around the lake in the garden center on the famous swan boats, first launched in 1870. 5. Museum of Fine Arts, Boston. One of the leading art museums in the country, the Boston Museum of Fine Arts excels in its collection of Impressionist paintings, ancient Egyptian treasures, Asian and Persian fine arts, and works from ancient Greece and the Middle East. Its newest and crowning achievement is the construction of an entire American wing to house, integrated in chronological order, outstanding collections of American paintings, furniture, decorative arts, folk art, silverware, glassware, and design dating from pre-Columbian art to the Art Deco and Modernist eras. Highlights elsewhere include a 12th century lacquered wood sculpture of a Buddhist bodhisattva and Korean painted screens, the ivory and gold statue of the Minoan snake goddess from 1500 BC, and a statue of the Egyptian pharaoh Mycerinus and his queen from 2548 to 2530 BC. 6. Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Set in a building its eccentric creator modeled after a 15th century Venetian palace, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum displays its collections in rooms surrounding a 4-story central courtyard filled with flowering plants and fountains. The priceless 2,500-piece collection of paintings, sculptures, furniture, tapestries, decorative arts, books, and manuscripts reflect the personal tastes and considerable expertise of Miss Gardner herself, whose own flamboyance further adds to the charm of the museum. Behind the palazzo, a 70,000-square-foot glass-clad building designed by Italian architect Renzo Piano creates new viewpoints for the original palazzo and stunning spaces for music and visual arts, allowing the museum to showcase exceptional contemporary works and artists. Rather than clash or compete with the original building, Piano's wing simply provides a new glass through which to view Mrs. Gardner's palazzo. 7. USS Constitution and Bunker Hill, Boston National Historic Park. Nicknamed Old Ironsides, USS Constitution is the oldest commissioned ship in the United States Navy and is still commanded and crewed by Navy personnel. The ship is open to visitors who can go below deck and hear about the ship's construction and action at sea. Across the pier, the USS Constitution Museum provides historical context through interactive exhibits that illustrate life aboard a naval vessel 2 centuries ago. Another ship you can tour here is the Young, a World War II destroyer. 8. Museum of Science. Exhibits in this extensive science museum encourage learning through hands-on exploration of science and technology. But the museum is not just for children. Physics, biology, chemistry, ecology, zoology, astronomy, computers, and more are explored in more than 700 permanent, hands-on exhibits that are enhanced by staged presentations and interpreters. Highlights are a 65-million-year-old fossil discovered in the Dakota Badlands, an electricity dome with continuing programs, the butterfly garden where you can walk among free-flying butterflies in a conservatory filled with exotic plants, a live animal center, a chance to join local meteorologists to learn weather forecasting, and Computer Place, where you can operate a robot and explore how your computer stores information. The planetarium represents daily laser and star shows, and the Mughal Omni Theater has a 5-story domed screen. 9. Harvard Square and Harvard Arts Museum. Harvard University, founded in 1636, is the oldest institution of higher learning in the United States and is widely considered one of the world's leading academic centers. Go to the Harvard Information Center to take a spirited and entertaining free-walking tour of the campus, guided by a student who will share history, Harvard lore, and personal perspective. Or you can download a tour from their website. Harvard Yard sits right in Harvard Square, a lively hub for students, townies, and visitors filled with shops, bookstores, and allegedly more places to buy ice cream than any other U.S. city. 10. Old North Church and Boston's North End. Boston's lively Italian neighborhood, known as the North End, is one of Boston's oldest, where the silversmith and activist leader Paul Revere lived at the time of the American Revolution. The Paul Revere house, which he bought in 1770 and lived in when he made his famous ride, is the only Patriots' home on the Freedom Trail and is open to tour. You can climb to the tower of Old North Church, where lanterns were hung in April 1775 to alert Paul Revere that British troops were headed to Lexington to arrest the Patriot leaders and confiscate the munitions supplies. The beautiful white interior of the church still retains its historic box pews. That was all from us today for this video, folks. For more similar content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.